Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Go Mango Anime Cast. Today we will be sharing our first impressions of a handful of new shows airing the fall 2017 anime season. I'm your host Makotoa, and joining me tonight we have...
the Cinder Blaze.
And Strange Words.
Alright, you guys, we are going to share some of our, I guess, what would we call this? Is it a top list of, I guess, most anticipated?
I think it's just a first impressions of promising series.
There we go. I like that. Like that. Let's, for the audience's sake, I'm sure we'll prop this in the description of the video itself, but we're going to be going over, let's list them out. First, we're going to do Zodiac Killer, then Black Clover, then Food Wars, then Diaz Rie, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, mahoutsukai no yome, or what was it?
The Ancient Magus Bride.
Ancient Magus Bride. And then Kino's Journey, and finishing it off with Garo Vanishing Line, I believe is the full title.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, we got a full set, so we're gonna try and like not take too long, but at least cover each individual one for a little.
We'll cover each one according to how much they need to be covered.
Perfect. That sounds good to me.
Some of them will require significantly less.
Yeah. Okay, so starting with Zodiac Killer. This was one that I actually kind of recommended the three of us try out personally, just because, it seemed like it would be one of those Fate Zero ripoff type shows. It's not technically, because apparently it's based off of an older manga, but it looked interesting. It looked like it had a pretty good budget. What did you guys think?
This is some nice garbage.
Nice garbage.
Nice garbage.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily garbage in the first episode. It did have a lot of exposition that it had to go through, like a lot of these battle royale type of anime typically do have. Fate has really,
Oh yeah, jeez. Episode 0 of Fate is freaking what? Wasn't it a 2-hour
special?
special?
Yeah, just to kind of
Fate
Zero. It was
for Fate Zero.
It was excessive. So,
oh man,
episode 0, episode 1, I'm kind of forgiving on the amount of exposition they had, and they did introduce one of our, Zodiac fighters in the battle royale in a pretty neat way. It wasn't too forced, but it was just a way to get into the whole mentality of a killer, and just to see how intense some of these individuals can get.
Yeah.
And that did culminate into spoiler. Should we do spoilers?
Should we do spoilers?
We might as well. It's the first episode.
Crunchyroll is already tweeting that spoiler bit at the end for the first episode. They said don't look at the tweet if you haven't watched the first episode, but people are gonna just
I guess
I feel like since
spoiler
we're
warning for people who are gonna watch the shows we mentioned.
I guess you're right.
But...
You know what? That's true. If this is kind of people want to know before they go in, then you're right. So we probably shouldn't spoil then. But I guess we could at least say one of the characters dies right off the bat. That's
well, actually, no.
Bad.
2 characters.
Oh.
You forgot about the guy off screen.
Oh no, you spoiled it. You just revealed that a guy died.
Let's just say something happens in the first episode that actually kind of hinders the second episode, because it kind of messes up the pacing a little bit, and we kind of backtrack and have to re-exposition a bit, because we have so many characters and we have to delve into them, at least for a little bit, so we can set up the whole mood for the thing. But even by the second episode, we don't really get into all the characters, and we don't really get many of their motivations besides Monkey and Boar. And I don't really think that any of these characters can actually just carry the series. We do have some of the Fujo bait characters that people might root for, but no character has enough development or charisma to actually carry the series and make us actually care for them. Which
that was a thing that it was kind of there wasn't a clear main character, so you're not really sure who you should be voting for or rooting for per se. There's a couple that seem to be more I guess, good than others. Like, some of them are just out to just murder and for the fun of it even. But then there's a couple, like, you'll find out that aren't as malicious with their intent, so you kind of might try and find those to be the ones you're rooting for, but it's still up in the air, I think, at least by the end of episode 1. Maybe by the end of episode 2, you kind of get a little bit more of an idea who might end up winning, but, because, episode 2 is out by the time this review goes up, and I'm pretty sure the rest of us all watched episode 2, not just me. Right?
I didn't watch because I didn't feel like watching that show.
Okay. Well, you've already got Jordan's opinion here.
Yeah.
Strange Words has already given his... Yeah, he dropped it after episode 1. I guess it's just not intriguing enough for him right now, but if you like something
about the art style too. Something about the animation or art style just seems ever so slightly just not appealing for me. I just can't place it.
I think that must be a personal preference, because I like, that's the biggest part I think I get out of the show right now is the animation.
Yeah, it does look good, and like the fights that we do have are pretty well animated and directed. Like, it's really clear to see what's happening in the fights, and
unlike a couple of other shows in our top list here, which we will get to. We will get to those. Well, let's not spend too much time on this one. I think Jordan's already given his verdict. Alex, would you recommend continuing to watch, or will you be continuing to watch?
I'm probably going to continue to watch probably the next episode, but it's getting worse each episode, and I'm going to bring up one more point. If you compare this to other Battle Royale series like Fate and Mirai Nikki, both of those had like a main character that we actually followed and cared about, and even though they were
side characters that were very appealing.
Yeah, and like this series does have the potential for interesting side characters, but all the ones that we have so far are pretty dull. And yeah, honestly, I can't. Even though we're supposed to root for the non-violent one, I don't even feel like that's... It doesn't feel like the right choice, also because every episode so far, granted there's only 2, has relied on a plot twist to at least keep something suspenseful or keep something, entertaining in the episode, which I don't feel like is going to make this series overall
it's not
enjoyable.
Sustainable.
Yeah,
it's not sustainable.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah. Okay, that's all right. My personal opinion, I'm gonna keep watching it at least a few more episodes, because sometimes it takes time, especially because, like you said, these shows usually have a lot of exposition, so sometimes it will probably take a while for it to get going. Like, if I had just stopped before I finished that 2-hour freaking exposition dump in Fate Zero, I would not have been rewarded with the amazing show that ended up being. So before I completely jump out of it, I think I'm going to give it a few more episodes. Also, episode 2, I was rooting for the dog dude. Like, I'm just saying right now, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm rooting for the dog dude. I hope. It's not looking good though. But
you brought up another point that I wanted to make, and that's we haven't really gotten any justification for why this whole thing is happening. Like, despite all the exposition we've had for this battle royale situation, we don't really know why it's even there in the first place. It's just something that just happens. And I think though Fate is kind of...
They hinted it. They were saying, it was especially when they were talking about Monkey and how she's trying to potentially end their careers as pretty much hitman. So it seems like the entire Zodiac are a group of, they're all an individual syndicate, family syndicate of hitmen or warriors who can be for hire for some war or whatever. And if there's no wars going on anymore, they're out of business. That's kind of what was generally indicated in episode 2.
Yeah, but that's all I got for this series so far.
Yeah. All right. let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
To Black Clover. Jordan, why don't you start us off? You seem to be itching to get something.
Let's open with the most wonderful part of this series. So, I'm sure any of you have watched the first episode for more than 15 minutes, or actually I think it's even 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Know that the main character's voice is quite possibly one of the most annoying shonen voices of all time. It's the most annoying voice I've personally ever heard. I usually steer away from shoddier quality anime, so this is just why it's reflective of the manga. Yes, he is annoying, but I didn't know they would make him this annoying. I hope they would.
It was so annoying. I felt like it was on purpose because
it's definitely on purpose. It's actually on purpose because he's supposed to be an annoying little not even a brat, but like annoying child sort of like character. But
I think brat is a proper term.
Oh, brat isn't quite.
He's a runt.
That's okay. That works.
Runt.
That works because it still seems endearing, rather than.
Yeah, it's meant to be sort of endearing, despite being annoying.
I think they went overboard. Well, I mean, I heard apparently that this voice actor's first big role, so he's putting in as much work as he possibly can, but like, it's too much, man. Just tone it down a little. I really hope that it tones down more, but like, even episode 2 was a little bit difficult. It wasn't as bad as episode 1 per se, but it's amazing that like this show's initial like knee-jerk reaction from a lot of people is, gosh, please stop his voice. It's just, people are not happy about that. But like, I don't know, maybe it's something we can get used to. Maybe it'll get toned down.
Nope.
It's so high-pitched that it's going to be pretty hard.
Here's the thing. In the manga, he does the whole yelling thing constantly still. It never changes.
Oh.
Maybe it goes down a bit in terms of how many times he does it.
I'm hoping that the anime, like, they realize at least a few episodes in that, this is getting annoying. Maybe we should, like, have the voice actor, like,
swallow a frog.
I don't know.
Personally, despite how much shit I'm giving it, I kind of like the voice because, I kind of miss that kind of shonen, just not archetype, but what's another term for it? Trope. When they have the super annoying young voice, always screaming, always shouting to be Hokage. I kind of miss that kind of stuff.
I do too. I'm not gonna lie.
So like when he's like screaming and he's super annoying, like he feels so earnest that I'm just like, despite how much of an annoying shit you are, I'm still gonna root for you. And even.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, continue.
Despite how grating it is, it's a good grating feeling for me. And I feel like that makes my opinion of the entire show like a bit biased because a lot of people just don't like the voice and that kind of just hinders everything else. But this one, like, I like his voice, so
it's okay. I'm willing to tolerate it if the story continues to be interesting.
Yeah.
I was a little bit disappointed with the fact that episode 2 was entirely flashback except for like the last minute and a half, but I mean, they kind of, I think some of it, okay, it was necessary. I don't know if that long was necessary, but context, right? It was needed. I'm sure they'll flash back to more things throughout the show, but
personally, I feel like it was not, at least in the anime adaptation. I don't know how they covered it in the manga, but they can do it a lot easier in the manga because like one chapter of exposition is a lot easier to get through than one entire episode of anime of exposition. Like you can speed read like the manga chapter, and this having nearly the entire episode devoted to that backstory. It feels like the anime has like it has the ability to kind of just like push that over to the side. Like maybe if that relationship between the two brothers comes up again, then we can have that flashback. Having it immediately after that first episode, even though we set up all of like our protagonist's like relevant problems, and just having it kind of like brought up, or not, it wasn't like his problems, I guess it was Yuna's problems that were brought up in this episode. I felt like we didn't really need that. We kind of needed to finish what was happening in the last episode a lot more than getting some, background information.
It was
to their
reinforcement.
rivalry.
It was reinforcement, but it was reinforcement to something that already seemed pre-established in the first episode that we weren't questioning to begin with. So it was almost a little redundant. I thought that the reason why they were going to do it was because they were going to reveal some special power that he, accidentally like triggered when he was a kid, and that the brother with the black hair was like flashing back to that, and that might have been why he was treating him differently. And also the whole like him saying I'm your rival, like to stir his emotions. Like, how would he have known that this guy would just suddenly manifest I mean, I guess that's spoilers for the first episode, but it just I mean, it's a shonen, like what do you expect, right? Like the protagonist to not actually, have a power up, like come on. Who are we trying to fool? But I felt like it was missing something there for sure. Like that, because they didn't have that kind of little reveal that, oh, he noticed something in the past and that's what triggered his, the I guess, is it the eldest sibling? I don't even know. The black-haired kid. It didn't, like, that should have been the catalyst that triggered him to, like, say those things to give him that boost so that he would have the power up and that he believed in him for that. Like, there was no evidence whatsoever in that flashback that he would ever develop powers. He just got the crud kicked out of him by that drunk dude. And until the drunk dude got tired of beating him up. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, that was fine, like, by itself. But it's not the episode 2 we needed after, like, whatever the hell happened last episode. Like, that left us at such a cliffhanger, and you just put us in a flashback that we really did not need for a majority of that episode, and that really killed a lot of the pacing at the very beginning. And it's gonna be like fixed probably by the next episode.
Yeah,
but
it was a little bit disappointing. But okay, what's our final verdicts? Are we continuing or not continuing to watch after these 2 episodes?
Definitely, it's just it had a stumble in episode 2, but that problem's already done with.
It has promise. I really want it to be good. It's hitting that, like you said, it's that feeling that you haven't had in a while where you're rooting for that, like, shonen protagonist that's just loud and obnoxious but also very endearing. Like, that Naruto character has been missing for a long time, and you get the feels, and I'm hooked because of it, despite it having stumbles, like you said.
Yeah,
so I'm going to keep watching it too. But
yeah, he's not exactly like Naruto, and like that's also makes him a bit more refreshing. Like, even though he has like a similar ambition to become like the Wizard King, which is basically what the Hokage is. Like
he's not the same. But...
yeah, his problems are entirely different, and his like the way he kind of like goes about his problems is kind of different. So he's kind of like Naruto, but he's kind of not. In like, there's a good balance between the two, so he's just a really refreshing character, at least on the anime side. Who knows how many manga?
I'm not watching because I don't want to hear his voice ever again.
Understandable.
Because I can just read the manga and get all the character development and junk there. And the thing about the manga, the only reason I'm reading it is because it's got a bunch of magic shit. I'm like, oh man, let's see where they go with this. But I don't want to have to deal with the burden of an anime where it's just, oh yes, here's this voice that you just feel physical pain every time you listen to it. I'll just stay away from that.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on. Food Wars episode 1 and 2 have aired. I know myself and Alex were pretty excited for it to come along. Jordan, I don't remember if you were into the show.
Not watching it because I already have manga.
Okay, another one of those instances.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, you still enjoy the manga, right?
Jordan can shut up for this segment.
Let's
actually talk about
what you guys want.
the anime.
All
Okay,
right, cool.
so after season 2, we did get an OVA that introduced the Elite 10, and I kind of recommend for people who haven't read the manga to actually watch that OVA because it's kind of like a missing piece between these season 2 and season 3 that you really need to get.
Shoot, I should have probably done that. I am. That makes sense because I was like, okay, who are these people?
Yeah, it sucks for you, but season 3 starts off a little bit slower than the rest of the seasons, probably because season 1 starts the entire series, and the series itself had an explosive start, and season 2 is the climax of whatever season 1 left off of.
The big tournament arc thing.
Yeah.
So that was exciting.
Yeah, so season 3 will be a lot slower because nothing really ramps up to the pace of like the end of season 1 and season 2. Like, it will have its moments, but they're not going to be like a tournament style kind of moments. There's not like super fast paced, dish after dish. It's going to take things a bit more slowly, and we see that in the first 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. But we do spend a lot of time with building the cast that will be relevant for the rest of the series. So it's a really nice start, in my opinion.
Okay, I mean, I understand. Like, it's on its season 3. It's a very popular show, so they can afford to take their time, I think, rather than like, if it was the beginning of season 1 or 2, they really need to make it hit hard so that they can keep people's attention. But they've already got a dedicated fan base, and like, even though it was a slow episode 1 and like the 2 was still build up, I'm invested. And by the end of episode 2, I was like, all right, let's see what happens next. I can't wait. So I'm already enjoying the sort of build up, and then climax with a awesome dish type setup that this show is kind of known for. So yeah. I'm already invested. I'm in for the ride. I mean, I guess to those who might not have ever seen Food Wars, I mean, it would be best to go back and watch season 1, of course.
Yeah, this is gonna be. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you just binge that, right? Like, but go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so this is gonna be a really character focused season. So it's not gonna be as tasty of a season as season 2, because just feasting your eyes on those dishes was just like a treat the entire way through. But if you're really attached to the characters, if you really like the characters, this is going to be a great season for you, so just hop on it.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think we really need to say more than that.
Yeah,
really.
Like, it's basically, if people are interested in it, they're probably going to watch it.
Yeah. All right. Cool beans. Next one is Irae. Or Rai.
Irae, whatever. Doesn't
That's
matter.
the one. So
Random.
this one was on my radar because it had, I heard that it was an anime that was completely funded by supporters, by fans. I don't remember if it was a Kickstarter or if it was a different like website that was helping, like GoFundMe or something, but it was completely 100% budget film, or budget was produced by fan donations. So it's kind of an anomaly. It's kind of this, wow, we haven't seen this kind of thing before, at least I haven't, and what's it gonna look like? How's it gonna be? Like, apparently the budget is double that of what a standard typical anime is, so we're looking, it's gonna probably look pretty, right? Like, and hopefully good writing. I don't know. I've never heard of the series before this. So we decided to try it out. Jordan,
okay. The only reason I started watching it was because I saw the game cover or promotional art or whatever. I'm like, let's see what this is. Completely, just random.
So the plot won you over, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, the capital P plot. Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling that was the case. But I mean, I was more interested in whatever like the show had to offer, just because it was this weird phenomenon of a show being funded by its fans. But Alex, we watched it together.
Yeah, like the first scene we see is a giant skeleton cast thing floating in the sky, which was
skeleton.
It was elaborate. It was like, hey, look at my budget. Like,
yeah, like that was the first thing. I just saw like just money across the scene. I was like, wow, you're showing off real hard. Yeah, and then we see like our main villain, which, by the way, episode 0 is the only one that's been released so far.
Right.
It's a setup for our antagonist.
It's hard to judge it as an actual first episode because, yeah, that's right. It was specifically to set up the bad guys.
Yeah.
Did not even touch the good guy. Like, I forgot the good guy even existed until we got to the preview of the next episode because there was literally nothing. Except for, like, at the very beginning, like, when his castle was descending upon the, like, metropolitan city and, like, he had the blocks stairs coming down and then, like, looking up at him from some random tower was this, you know,
high school
protagonist looking kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, it was like, okay, what's going on? And then we just flash to this other situation where we've got random people fighting in this, like, what was this? I don't even know where we were at. There was a lot of weird stuff going on, and I couldn't really follow exactly what was happening, because they kept switching from one scene to another, and then none of it was fully explained. They were going very deep into this kind of, like, I guess, ideals type stuff, where it's like, I'm going to explain everything that I believe in as a character just by, you know, even though you asked me a question that was very simple in nature, but I'm going to explain the reason why I'm saying the answer is this, because I have this moral obligation to do this, this, and this. So they really went out of their way to just kind of, like, give you the lowdown of our antagonist's weird, idealistic, whatever.
Yeah, that was what happened, like, towards the end of the episode, which was probably the most coherent part of it as well. Sorry, do you want to say something, George?
Oh, no, here's the thing about me watching the series. I'm like, watching something about it, I'm like, alright, okay, and then there's some definitely exposition going on, but I'm kind of just ignoring it because it's like, man, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But what's partially because I don't, like, man, this isn't interesting, but I'm also not really caring about the exposition. However, next episode might help me out, so I'll keep watching it, but it's just,
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether or not I'll drop it after a few episodes. There's potential.
You haven't watched episode 1 yet, so keep that in mind. Episode 0 tend to be like their own kind of separate entity. And I feel like for this one, it's something that you would understand more if we got more of the villain in, like, our main series, like episode 1 onwards. So I'm not going to be too critical about this episode, but I will say that it was really hard to understand what was going on if you're just, like, fresh into the series, because we switch between, like, 2 different time periods almost. Like, there's
Oh yeah, there was like it was like, okay, so this is before he meets this fortune teller dude, and now we're in the middle of him knowing the fortune teller dude for a while, and then, like, there's the freaking, like, at the very beginning, it's like, okay, we've already caught up to the present where he's got super long hair now and has a freaking floating golden castle made out of skulls, apparently.
Wait, was it skulls that looked like just normal gold?
Okay, it had skulls in it.
Okay, that's what I was saying. Just like, I don't remember the skull throne or anything like that.
Every step he took made a ripple of red skulls around his feet.
Oh.
I don't know.
I think that just might be a thing about him.
That might just be somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, before we finish, like, I'm going to continue trying, you know, see what the next episode 1 is. Give episode 1 at least a try. And I know, Alex, you said you would too, and Jordan.
Yeah.
Course. But, like, I want to touch on the thing that I kind of mentioned to Alex after we finished the show.
Yeah.
In the sense that I get this feeling that this show is going to create a very specific kind of fan base because it has all of the makings for such a thing. It has the female character with an eye patch. It has the pretty boy.
By female, do you mean question mark gender with an eye patch?
You know what?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sure, because honestly, when the cosplayers go for it, they're gonna gender bend anyway. So I mean,
well, we're still
why
not sure what it is. So
you can't really bend a gender if you don't know what it is.
Yeah,
they can guess, and I mean, it's convenient for them, whichever one they decide to portray, right? Yeah. But I'm just thinking that this show could cause one of those fan bases, and for some reason I got these like Black Butler vibes. I got these like Full Metal Alchemist vibes from the animation style. Like it seemed like the animation was in the style of something from like the 2005 2006 to me. I don't know what it was, but immediately that started reminding me of the Black Butler fan base, and I don't know, like I could just see the people cosplaying as these characters, and you see these, 16-year-old cosplayers going around Heil Hitler because now we've got these Nazis who are freaking like
vampire Nazis
with magical powers and freaking like, the whole works. It just seems like it's gonna attract that kind of crowd, for better or for worse. That was just an observation I made.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna go, but I can see it happening.
Yeah, this honestly feels like a more niche thing. So, like, even if people do get into it a lot, I feel like, they're probably deep into like the culture already. Mm-hmm. But I really like our antagonist because he looks pretty cool, and I like those overpowered vampire type of dudes. Also, that whole segment we had on his psychology kind of makes him a more interesting villain because, he's someone who's trying to grasp his limits, probably. I really couldn't understand it myself.
He had this weird false humility thing where he was like, I'm just like all of my other fellow grunts, and I just happened to get into this situation. And then like, his freaking secret admirer over there just, oh no, you have such potential and blah blah blah, like sweet talking the dude. And I mean, okay, here comes the ships, right? But I don't know, it did make him seem like he had more going on than just a stereotypical villain. So it's good.
It's setting the bar high. It's setting the bar high for the protagonist because he's gotta match him somehow. So I feel like as long as the rest of the series is good, we have a decent start.
But yeah, we could continue on to Garo potentially. I know that's your favorite of the probably new series out, season? Jordan.
Technically yes, because I haven't read it before, like I did with other stuff. But I do enjoy Garo. I've watched the first season and I touched upon some of the second season, but I didn't watch that one because the setting was just for me. But I'm liking where this one is going. Garo usually has a strong start, and this was no exception.
Yeah. So is this a standalone or is it a continuation?
Standalone technically. The things that it carries over from the series is the little ring guy Zaruba and the transformations generally.
All right. So this is my first time getting into whatever this Garo universe is before, and I have to say I enjoyed it pretty well. It's got the mature aspects to it, but I mean, it doesn't bother me that much. And by the time you get to like the fight scenes, you're already forgetting about all that other fan servicey stuff because holy cow, save some budget for the rest of the season, right? Like that was a comment I saw on the video.
What you do is just save a budget and release them like every 3 years. Easy.
Right. Okay, that works, right?
Yeah.
But no, that was impressive. And like they used CG, but they did it in a way that it worked.
Yeah.
Like it didn't like I like that it kept everything so fast in motion that you didn't get like bogged down by how, grungy the CG looked. It was just fast,
It's also helped
action.
out by the fact that like the action in general is very visceral and makes you can feel the impact of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Helps offset.
So it was really good. Like I was not expecting it to have that much, I guess, action. And even when it wasn't CG, the regular animation was like top notch. I was really enjoying that. So you've got really great fight scenes, and then the character as well. He's the macho man. Like if you're into JoJo Part 1, 2, maybe even 3, like I think you might enjoy this kind of genre too, right?
Yeah. Well, this is closer to Part 2, I'd say, in terms of main
Yeah.
character, where it's really muscular, sort of very casual sort of protagonist.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it for sure. It seems like our friend Alex had to go suddenly.
Yeah.
But we're gonna keep powering through it.
Yeah.
Because we only have a couple more left to review. So we'll go on. The show must go on.
Keep trucking.
But I'm sure he'll be back for another review probably. Anyways, yeah. So what was it? I'm definitely going to continue.
Yeah,
and I do believe Alex said that he enjoyed it too before, so I imagine he's probably going to keep up with it as well. Would have liked to hear more from him, but stuff happens.
Yeah.
Continuing on, we could do. We'll end with. We kind of went out of order a little bit there because. But we'll just go with Kino's next, and then end on the
Ancient Mage's Bride.
Ancient Mage's Bride, yeah. So we're gonna go Kino's Journey next, which some of you may know. There's already a Kino's Journey, and this is a reboot. I've heard good things about the original, and was interested enough to potentially buy it on DVD for myself, even though I hadn't seen it, just to like try it out. I didn't get the chance, but now I'm getting the chance to see the reboot, and I wouldn't be able to compare the two, sadly, because I haven't seen the original, but I'm interested in the concept. I'm interested in the fact that it's a kind of like a traveling anime. He goes from place to we had a struggle.
It's technically up in the air. I don't know if they touched upon it in the light novel it's based off of, but who knows?
It was a little bit tough.
I'm like 99% sure but it could easily be she revealed randomly.
Yeah, they could do something. I can't put it past them.
I don't trust anime when it comes to stuff like this.
So probably a he, but he goes along with his trusty motorcycle that can talk, and they travel. That's funny because now we've got 2 shows this season that have talking motorcycles.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Well,
go figure.
For one, it technically isn't talking motorcycle, but he does. The ring is what talks.
It's the ring that's talking for Garo. Okay. But yeah, so Kino's Journey, he goes around, spends like 3 days in any particular country and sees what it's like. And it's so far so good. Like the beginning part of the episode was kind of slow, and I know you and Alex were struggling to keep your attention, because it just kind of like there was no visual of
There was
guess there
nothing
was
to
vision.
keep my attention besides
Yeah,
just
that was the thing.
the very uninteresting exposition.
Yeah, so, but then when it finally got to the country and visiting it, and the weird quirk that came along with it, and I imagine there's going to be some kind of moral to the story or twist like that each episode,
Yeah.
which I'm okay with. It's kind of the point of it. It started to get a lot better, and I came to enjoy it by the end. A concern that Alex had, which I will bring up since he's not here, is that this particular one, where it's like they visit a city that, it's like in the episode title too, so they visit a city where killing is legal. You can murder people, and
No.
It's right.
I believe the words were "killing isn't prohibited."
It's not prohibited. I mean, that's technically they were.
Well, no, because the whole
no, they said it's legal. They said it's legal, but there was the catch was
the
that
nuance of the
yeah, the nuance. There's a nuance. Well, we don't want to spoil it, but yeah. So it got interesting, and the only problem though is that's an easy hook to have an interesting premise for.
Yeah.
Is a city like that, and they're not all going to be able to be that, interesting. So if hopefully they can step up the game and keep us interested, despite maybe the city itself not being as intriguing as a premise like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm willing to give it a couple more episodes before I decide. Jordan,
I'll give it an episode, maybe two, if the second one's good. Mm-hmm. But besides that, yeah.
I think Alex is probably in the same boat as you, where he was. Maybe he'll give it another, but yeah. Cool beans.
Okay.
Last but certainly not least. This is last but best in my opinion for this season.
Hey man.
Okay, yeah, Garo's good,
yeah,
but like I have to say, like, this one gets me. So it's the mahoutsukai.
The ancient Magus Bride.
This one has been getting a lot of attention on Crunchyroll. I know they've been advertising the heck out of it. So if you haven't heard it before, you're gonna hear it now. But I was super, like, when I first heard this show was coming, like, and saw the little PV, like, before the beginning of 2017, I was already, like, super hyped. And this has been I've been waiting for this show all year. So I was super excited, and I was not disappointed. Episode 1 was magical, and I mean that literally and in whatever other way you can mean it. Because I quite enjoyed it. The music was on point too. Like, I watched it with another friend of mine who's not on the podcast, and he said it felt like we were watching a movie, and that it sounded like the soundtrack sounded orchestral, like you would in kind of a fantasy type movie. And I had to agree with him. And even though it was still a short episode, and were still
it's normal anime length.
It is, but like for something that we felt that it was short, like a movie. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's the premise. Like, do we want to go over the premise? Like, Jordan, you want to?
Okay. So basic premise rundown? Is main character is a slave Vega, which is a special sort of existence that draws magical phenomenon to themselves. Like it draws fairies, both good and bad, to them, which can lead to a good deal of misfortune due to the fact that fairies are not exactly the most knowledgeable about human interaction and life. Basically, this girl's lived a life full of suffering, so she decided, you know what? I really hate my life, because my parents are just like, man, my daughter sucks. So she decides, like, okay, I'm just going to go sell myself off to someone who hopefully gives me a nice home. And then she gets bought by a eldritch monster, basically. Well, not eldritch. It's
how do you describe this guy? He's kind of like the
he's Fae.
I get this.
He's old school Fae.
Old school Fae, huh?
Yeah.
I get this kind of Beauty and the Beast type of vibe where, I mean...
Oh, definitely.
But, like, he's not exactly... I mean, he's got the head skull
Yeah.
of like a of the beast, but he's not.
He's
You know.
here's like they get into it later, but he's definitely a beast, more of a beast character. It's just a different sort of beast.
Okay, so that's all right. I mean, I don't care either way. I loved his character.
Yeah, he's a good character.
He's great. And his interactions with our female lead is really cute. I eat it up, man. I love it. I am super excited. And like, you know, they don't go too far. The first episode, we just kind of get an introduction to this system, and then her getting purchased, and then like the first day of her living with him, and but I love this premise so much. She's gonna apparently become his apprentice as a magician or mage or sorcerer or whatever they call it in this show.
I think it's mage.
Mage? Okay.
I think it's mage in this one.
But I'm super excited. I really am. So definitely my number one pick for this, or my number one excitement for this season at least.
I personally can't put it at number one because I've read it, and the reason I'm watching is because I like the manga a lot, and I want to see how they animated it, because there's a lot of really pretty scenes. So if like you can't really skimp on the animation budget in this show in a lot of places. So I was worried, but then after watching this, like, yeah, this is a really good adaptation so far.
Yeah, it had a pretty good budget. Yeah, they did. It was very pretty at times. So I continue to look forward to it. Already enjoying the soundtrack as well. So, like I said previously, sorry, I'm sad to say that Alex won't be able to give his opinion on it. I was really looking forward to hearing it, but yeah, hopefully maybe another time. But yeah, that's we're running. Oh my gosh, 50 minutes on this one.
Yeah.
If you stuck around this long, wow, thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to us ramble on about this season's top picks for us, or top potential, anime. If you liked what you heard, give us a like. Share in the comments what anime you are looking forward to this season. If it's any of the ones we like, or any others you might, recommend. Heck, maybe there's one that flew under our radar. I'm not talking about that weird CG one with the crystal people and the angels that come to abduct them. No, thank you. I'm not going to try that.
I
so
don't know
ask.
what that is, so yeah, it's alrighty then.
I know that there's a few reviewers out there who are excited about it, but I'm not. I can't. It's just, it's the CG. It's just not going to work for me. But that's just me. If you like it, that's cool. Yeah. But yeah, comment below. Or give us a subscription, or subscribe. Give us a subscription. Yeah, it's usually Corey's, it's usually Frozen or Ice Stratos' thing to give the spiel, but yeah, we're going to continue to watch some of these. Maybe we'll even do weekly episodes for one or two, so potentially look forward to that. But yeah, that was our overall thoughts on these shows. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time, yeah?
See ya.
Later.